So the brand new, not so new Red Bull has been unveiled, the RB16B, and it is very, very similar in terms of the livery. The only changes are really visually is the Honda logo taking a bigger place. Of course, Aston Martin are now becoming a fully fledged team in Formula One, taking over Racing Point. So, of course, that partnership is ended on the livery. And then you've got things like Sergio Perez's kind of personal sponsors getting onto the car as well, on the inside face of the front wing. But that's pretty much it. Red Bull, unfortunately, have had a habit now of, like, ever since, what was it, 2015 or 2016, they've pretty much stuck with the same matte paint finish Red Bull livery, which, don't get me wrong, and I've said it in videos in the past when we talk about iconic liveries and stuff, the Red Bull livery, as a design, has become very iconic in Formula One, but they did used to tweak it, season to season. There used to be some changes. It's a bit of a shame, but at the same time, it is, still a very good design of a livery. It's just, the exact same for this year. So in terms of building hype, I'm surprised they didn't do a testing livery. I think on Twitter, everyone was joking about Red Bull doing a shakedown livery or some kind of new livery that they only run for the shakedown or for pre-season testing. Then they'll, turn up with the normal livery at round one. They haven't even bothered with that. So I don't know if the marketing budget got cut for that maybe this year or what. But so the Red Bull, not exactly that thrilling of a reveal for this year, but obviously there's still plenty to talk about when we look at Red Bull going into this season. You've got things like Sergio Perez obviously being on the other side of the garage to Max Verstappen. That is a massive talking point in terms of how Red Bull could be looking for this year if they want to really take any sort of fight to Mercedes. How is Honda going to do? And I said this in the AlphaTauri video. I was going to talk about it a bit more in this video, in the Red Bull video, about the Honda program going forward, not even for this year as well, but going into 2022 and onwards, with Red Bull taking over the engine program from Honda as well, which is a big deal. So we'll kind of go through that to kind of preview their season, I guess, but this is it's going to be less of a kind of car talking video really in this one. I'm going to be completely honest, because there's some subtle changes to the car at launch. Now the thing is, Red Bull, out of every team, they're known to really hold their cards close to their chest. So there may be some major changes or some changes whatsoever coming, and you might see them at pre-season testing. But at the moment, in terms of the launch pictures, what we can see is maybe a slightly different configuration to the barge area, slightly different profiling to the side pod shape. It looks like maybe that's where they've spent their tokens. I'm not too sure. Even I have not, to be honest, out of every car so far, I've given it like a good, like 30 minutes or so since the car got revealed, and even like the reports, like the actual journalists aren't even picking up on what they've maybe spent their tokens on, or no one's kind of categorically said what they've done. I think a lot of it is going to be under the hood, little fine details, and like I said, under the hood, Honda, that's a massive thing. So let's talk about it. Honda had a big engine upgrade package, and they delayed it to 2022 because of the pandemic, but then they brought it forward by 1 year to this year, 2021, because obviously they announced they're going to be leaving the sport at the end of this year. And we've now found out recently in the last month that the FI Commission have agreed on an engine freeze from, this next year going into the next era of F1 until they change the engines in a big way, potentially, way down the line in, like, I don't know, 2025, 26 or whatever. So they're freezing the engine regulations, which allows Red Bull to come in, take over basically all of what Honda were doing, all the work there, and they are going to become their own works outfit. Like, they're actually forming a new limited company that's going to be like the Red Bull Power Unit company, and they're going to have to work, legally with Red Bull as two separate entities there. And obviously they're supplying, not only them, they're supplying AlphaTauri as well. So they're taking this properly seriously, like forming a whole new company to become the engine side of Red Bull that, supply Red Bull and AlphaTauri. And it's, it's kind of exciting in a way. It's kind of good for the sport, obviously, because Red Bull are committing. They've been a massive, team in the sport now for a few years. So, it's a massive commitment for them to commit to the sport in that kind of regard. But, it's a massive glow up if you really think about it. Red Bull, I know they have so much budget, and so maybe it's not that surprising, but remember, they started off in F1 just sponsoring a team, and then they've turned into a fully fledged works outfit, basically, because it will be their engine, basically, technically from 2022. So it's a massive step for them. It's a huge thing for the sport in terms of the engine freeze. So it means that basically this year, this engine, it has to be a good step up because it's going to be frozen then. So it kind of looks towards, Ferrari, what they can do with their engine to kind of finally catch up just before it gets frozen. And then for Honda, as I said in the AlphaTauri video, they've brought up the upgrades forwards from 2022 to this year. So they've upgraded the motor generator, the MGU-K, MGU-H, all of that stuff, the ICU. So they've upgraded all of that to again try and bridge the gap to Mercedes. I still believe Mercedes will have that little bit of an edge. Obviously, we do know the gap has shrunk a bit. There's not that massive engine difference as they maybe was at the start of the V6 era, but Mercedes still overall, I think, have the crown of the best PU on the grid. But Honda have made massive gains. Obviously, them personally, since they came to the sport, and for Red Bull now to take that over to next year is quite exciting in terms of, it solidifies their future, and that potentially leads to maybe some championship fights we can hopefully see, in the new era. For this year, for championship fights this year, we'll have to see. I'm very skeptical. There's a certain, few ways you can think about it. You've got Sergio Perez coming in now. Obviously, that's a big deal. How will he take to the Red Bull? That's the big question mark that I'm interested to see. Is it really now a case of we're going to finally see, is the Red Bull actually a quick car, or is it just a handful to drive, and Verstappen does an amazing job of dragging it up out of, that tiny operating window that we've seen that's kind of, really done a number on Gasly in the past and done a number on Albon last year? Will Perez be able to operate in that window of operation and be a good wingman for Max Verstappen, which is ultimately what he's been brought in to do? Whether, he kind of breaks that mold a bit and, can fight him a little bit and go for a race win here and there, well, hopefully, that'll be quite exciting to see. And then as a pairing, will they be able to take the fight to Mercedes? Now, the thinking here, if we all look back at the previous years, time and time again, we all get annoyed that Red Bull start slow and then end fast at the end of the season. This year, out of every year since they started doing this thing where they started slow, because they didn't actually used to start slow. They used to just be out of the box quick, but then ever since 2014, they've always just started slow every year and then kind of gotten better by the end of the season. By the end, they've got a race-winning car. This year, more than ever, obviously because it is a crossover, the regulations are frozen, it is pretty much every team has near enough the same car carrying over. In theory, Red Bull could start this season quickly, but what we've also got to remember is Mercedes literally said at the German Grand Prix, halfway through this last season, was it? I think about halfway at Nürburgring, that they had already stopped development on this car and they're already doing, R&D into next year, what they could do to make up that deficit. James Allison in Mercedes videos has already talked about that they've tried their hardest to bring back all the downforce they're losing with the regulation change of cutting the floor for the sake of the Pirelli tyres and things like that. So, there's a slight hesitancy in kind of, almost just being a little bit pessimistic in a way of, I think Mercedes will just rock up and do what they do best, which is stop development early last year, which is why Red Bull catch up, and then this year they come out the blocks flying. But like I said, out of every year we've had in the V6 era, this is a year, technically, you would hope Red Bull can start fast just because it's really overall, in a general sense, meant to be the same car carrying over. But obviously, there might be that difference of how well teams have brought back that downforce they're going to be losing with the cut floor and the changes that they legally have to make going into this year from that same chassis. In terms of the Red Bull v Mercedes fight as well, we saw last year, Verstappen was really giving Bottas a really good run for his money, despite Bottas being in what is perhaps one of the fastest cars we've ever seen in Formula 1 history last year. No doubt that car will get faster, but I personally I think Bottas, he, obviously, people memed him anyway before, but really last year, I think that did a number on him, especially races like Sakir where then George Russell overtook him and beat him thoroughly. I don't know, he's going into this year, he's got the contract for this year, he's going to be Lewis Hamilton's teammate, but I think this year will be even worse for Bottas, and I think Verstappen can, definitely take the fight to Bottas, despite Bottas being in that Mercedes car still, and then it's a question, like I said, of will Perez be able to then challenge Bottas? Will they both be able to, work as a pairing and then annoy Hamilton, annoy Mercedes in terms of strategy? It's a big hope, we've been hoping for so many years, it's never really happened, but this is maybe the strongest point, you got Sergio Perez, such an established, good driver. We know how good he can be. This is the time now to get it done But I am just wary because we've all been very hopeful in the past. Maybe I'm just being too pessimistic about things, but I don't know. And let me know what you guys make of it, because I know there'll definitely be Sergio Perez fans that are very excited, obviously, for this year, for seeing their guy in a top car now in Red Bull. And then obviously let me know what you think if you're a Verstappen fan. Do you reckon Perez will be finally the good wingman your guy needs? And then Red Bull fans in general, do you reckon, or just general fans really, because I think all of us just want to see a title fight. So I think everyone's backing, hopefully, that Red Bull can take a fight to Mercedes. Do we genuinely think it might happen? Do you agree with my hypothesis that maybe this year out of any year might be the best one because of that crossover? We'll see. And in terms of the car, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit like, it's a bit underwhelming, a tad like the McLaren car almost. At the same time, like I said, the Red Bull car, the livery design has become such a, synonymous, like, iconic design for Red Bull that I can see why they're not wanting to change that much. But I do miss the days where they changed it just that little bit, those splashes of purple when Infinity was on the car back in 2013, so many years ago now, it feels like. Oh, geez, I feel really old now after saying that. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is, basically. In terms of the actual car itself, the technical changes, subtle detail changes at maybe the side pod area, like I said, but expecting some more change at preseason testing, like I said, with the likes of McLaren as well, maybe bringing new bits only at testing and not wanting to show their true hand at the moment at the car launch. But, yeah, guys, if you did enjoy the video, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Like I said, answer all those good questions I gave you guys about Perez, Verstappen, and the team. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.